Has anybody ever said this to you? I wish I had what you had so I could lose weight like you are. What is the weirdest thing that you've had somebody said to you about your IBD, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis? Because that was one of the weirdest ones somebody said to me this is when I was first sick with it. That's what somebody said, my coworker. I wish I had that. As I was suffering, weight loss. Yeah, I did lose weight. I lost like 20 pounds in 3 weeks. You don't want to do that. Maybe you think you do, but you do not. So tell me, what is the weirdest thing somebody has said to you? Hello, and welcome to my very first episode of Digestible Dialogues. I'm Sherry Lip. I am the founder of Happy Gut for Life, and I am the author of two cookbooks, Don't Skip Dessert and Don't Skip Dessert Volume 2, as well as the 90-Day IBD Tracker. And I am so happy to be here today to talk about all things digestible. From my standpoint, I am coming from the standpoint of IBD. I have Crohn's disease. I was diagnosed in 1999 and I had surgery that same year. And I started a specific carbohydrate diet in 2000. So I will be talking about a CD diet quite a bit on here, different things about it, but I'm not only going to talk about that. So if you're interested in learning more about that, I definitely will be talking about that. And if you want to hear things beyond that, I will be talking about those things too, because we are going to be talking about all things to do with IBD. So a little background though, like I said, I was diagnosed in 1999. I had super, super severe symptoms, as bad as it gets, really. And that led to a complete bowel obstruction that put me in the hospital. I had a resection, and at that point, I didn't know what to do. There wasn't a lot of medication at the time, and I was allergic to the maintenance drug they put me on, which is some people may know, mesalamine, Pentasa. I was allergic to it, and at the time, the doctor's like, "There's nothing else we can do for you. You're on your own, but you may or may not get a recurrence." Well, a year later, I started having some symptoms, and even though the doctor's like, it doesn't seem like a flare up, I was very worried. I did not want to go through the hospitalization again or anything like that. So I started looking at diet. And that was the beginning of my holistic journey, which led me to a CD diet. And that has led me kind of beyond. That's still kind of my foundation. And I'll be going into it later. Probably, I'm going to go into that like later, probably the next episode, where I will be talking about kind of those principles and why I'm there and where I'm at now with it. So that is like the tiny little flash version of my story, but I will be getting into it a little more as we go. I don't want to give everything all at once. And behind me, you can see Genevieve. That is my dog. So she's not really a support dog, but aren't they all? So funny story about Genevieve is that her previous owner, who surrendered her to the shelter we adopted her at, also had Crohn's disease. So I did find out that about this person, and she called Genevieve her support dog. So why she surrendered her, I'm not quite sure, but I love her. We love her, and I'm so glad she's here. So she's in the background supporting me during this podcast. She's bored. She's not interested in it, but I am. She is a great dog, and I just love having dogs around. So that is Genevieve. I want to talk about this podcast a little bit. Just it's the first one. I'm going to introduce it and then talk about what I'm doing here. So this podcast. I've had a podcast before. I shared my story. I used to do it live. So this one's recorded. So that's one of the big differences. And so keep looking out because I'm planning to have some guests and we'll be talking about all things IBD, which is a subject. I think what brought me here to get in front of people is that IBD can be super lonely. I think we all know that who experience it because it's so isolating. A lot of times we find ourselves stuck inside. We're afraid to leave the house. think that was my biggest pain point in getting to SCD as like post surgery. Um, I was afraid of getting back to that, and I started getting afraid to go out again because I knew what could be coming, but I couldn't. That was not a life that I could live. So, so I started. That's what started me on this holistic journey. But um, it took me a long time to share that with people. Like I tried to hide it, but how can you hide something that's so debilitating sometimes? So I know that loneliness and I know that isolation, even if we're surrounded by people, it's an embarrassing condition. I've heard people make fun of it. I've heard some celebrities and media people actually make fun of it, even though it's not our fault, obviously. And people's symptoms can vary between mild and very severe, and it can be very uncomfortable, both physically and mentally. So that's what I wanted to do. It took me, and I didn't. I kind of, even as I started putting some recipes out, that was kind of how I got started in this happy gut for life. As I started sharing some recipes, as I saw a need for that, and I love cooking, so wanted to share my recipes with people. So I got myself out there, but not really. I didn't have my name on my blog. I didn't say anything really too much about myself. And then one day I started thinking about it and I just said, put up my picture and I was like, here I am. This is me. So, and then it just kind of really ballooned from there. Being able to connect with people for real was just the most rewarding thing possible. And so I realized if I'm being rewarded by it, then I hope you guys are being rewarded by it too. And I just want to help. I want to help others get to that point that I feel like I've reached with that comfort level, with that overcoming the fear level. And I just love talking to people about their experiences. So that's what I'm doing here. And so I hope that you guys will share your experiences with me. You can contact me. You can leave comments. And please, if you find this, helpful as we go along, please subscribe. Please like this because when you do those things, it helps me out because then I'm like, hey, you like this. So I can do more of it. So any feedback, I love. Any conversation, I love. Even if you disagree with me, I love that too. Because I might be saying some things that you might disagree with, especially when it comes to the dietary approach. So it's a dialogue. That's why this podcast is called Digestible Dialogues. And also, I want you to tell me what kind of topics you're interested in. Maybe there's something that people don't talk about that you want me to talk about, that you want to hear, that you want to discuss. Definitely drop me those lines. I love that. I love talking about things that people don't like to discuss sometimes. It's kind of one of my favorite things. So, and I will definitely be doing that here. So let's get the background part going. So, like I said, I was diagnosed, I had surgery, I had to get to a new place because as the symptoms kind of cropped up again, I had to do something about it. I couldn't let it happen again. So this was very early internet days. So I found some people talking about specific carbohydrate diet, and I started to exploring it, and it was hard to do. There wasn't Online was in its infancy, but even though that is where I discovered it, there wasn't a lot going on. So I managed to get my bookstore to order Breaking the Vicious Cycle, and I read it, and I was overwhelmed by it. I didn't really like it, but I read about it. So I mean, I liked the principles of it, but it didn't appeal to me. And at the time, I was like, I don't know if I need this. I don't really have anything going on too much anymore. Then things kind of started to become disruptive. And then I really started to fear a return of Crohn's. So I'm like, I'm going to do it. So I did. And I do share, I'll be sharing more about that story. I'm sharing more about that story in my new book that I'm writing. We don't need all the details, but if you have questions about that, please ask me. But so that led me on my holistic journey that has been continuing for the past 25 years. 25 years. hard, hard to believe. But That is the truth. 25 years is a long time, and sometimes it feels like nothing. But I love the journey I've been on, even though it meant Crohn's disease. Um, it's made me learn so much about myself and nutrition and how our bodies work. But the best discovery in my most recent years is that mind gut connection, because what I discarded for so long was the mental part of it. We tend to think that we just need willpower, and that's not the whole story. So, my philosophy is that there is not a one size fits all, that there is room for personalization, there is room for your lifestyle, there is room for your culture, there is room for foods that are important to you. And that is my philosophy on designing when I work with people to design their roadmap, as I call it, your IBD food roadmap. So that is my philosophy, and I will be talking about so many things on here. So I'm very excited. I'm so glad you're here. I hope this is going to be so fun for you to listen to, as it's going to be fun for me to record it. So I want you to stay tuned. I will be having another episode very soon, but this is just the intro, just to kind of get it out there. So that is me. That is the diet, and that I'm on. A specific carbohydrate diet. It won't stick totally to that, but it is the backdrop because it's my backdrop. So I'm very excited you're here, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next one.